Hey, Dub Nation, take a deep breath. What's coming next might be the turning point you didn't see coming, but maybe you already felt it in the air. Something big, almost silent, is taking shape in the shadows of the off-season. And at the center of this storm is the boldest team of the past decade. The Golden State Warriors may be on the verge of turning the page and writing a brand new chapter. And if everything goes right, that chapter could be epic. But first, a quick heads up. What you're about to hear isn't some social media rumor or a fan's wild fantasy. It's real information that's been shaking things up behind the scenes in the NBA. The signs are everywhere, and they all point to a name that splits opinions, but that no one can ignore. Ja Morant. That's right. The name that makes the league tremble, not just because of his talent, but because of his intensity. The same Ja who makes crowds erupt with his acrobatic plays. The same beast who turns any defense into a runway. Well, now he's being linked to the Golden State Warriors. Sounds impossible? Maybe. But the NBA is built on twists and turns, and this could be one of those moments we talk about for decades. Just picture it. Stephen Curry floating around the perimeter, pulling defenders with his deadly shot. On the other side, Ja Morant breaking down defenses like a hurricane, cutting without the ball, receiving on the move. Who stops that? The truth is, this combination is more than exciting. It's strategic, because Curry stretches the floor, forcing defenders out of the paint, and Morant thrives in space. He destroys defensive lines when he finds an opening, a gap, a crack. With these two together, the Warriors' offense would be virtually unstoppable. But that's not all. While the spotlight is shining on Morant, there are two other names quietly being brought to the table by the most attentive analysts. Two young players who represent something even more valuable, a long-term rebuild done with intelligence. We're talking about Renz Abando and Kai Sotto, two talents from the Philippines, with different paths but the same goal, to prove they belong on the most competitive stage in the world. And if the Warriors are looking at them, it's not by chance. It's because there's more there than just stats or highlight reels. There's hunger, commitment, grit. And the Warriors value that more than any box score. Abando is like a missile in the form of a wing, a guy who steps onto the court as if every play were a battle for his life. He pressures, he runs, he dives for loose balls, and it's not just hustle. He's got skill, vision, and a reliable perimeter shot. He's the kind of player who lifts a team's tempo, who energizes the bench, who fires up the crowd. He might not be a household name, but he's got everything Steve Kerr loves in a role player: versatility, energy, and tactical discipline. And then there's Kai Sotto, a 7'3" giant with light feet and a playmaker's hands. Yes, he's still a work in progress, but what he's shown so far is enough to excite any scout. Sotto isn't your typical lumbering big man. He knows how to position himself, he reads the game well, protects the rim with intelligence, and isn't afraid to try bold passes. It's rare to see someone his size with such spatial awareness. And the question that just won't go away, why does this matter now? Simple. Because Golden State is standing at a crossroads. The dynasty that mesmerized the world must evolve to survive. Curry isn't eternal. Time is ticking. And if the legacy isn't to end with a fall, the team must have the courage to start over, consciously. The addition of Morant, combined with young talents like Sotto and Abando, wouldn't just be a change of names on the roster. It would be a shift in mentality, a reinvention of the franchise's DNA, a fusion of a winning past with the hunger of what's yet to come. So now, fan, pause for a second and think with me. This new core has the potential to be the new face of the Kerr era, a new generation that doesn't just play to win, they play to leave their mark, to restore to the Warriors that unique spirit that blends brilliance with fire, vision with sacrifice, structure with freedom. Of course, no new era is born without pain. To build something truly great, one must be willing to leave the comfort zone behind. And that's where the most delicate part of all this comes in, the internal decisions. Because for Morant, Abando, and Sotto to become reality, the current roster will need to be reshaped. And that means saying goodbye to familiar faces. We're not talking about irrelevant players. We're talking about names who kept the team competitive, who held the fort during tough times, who wore the jersey with pride. But professional basketball, above all, is about cycles. And every cycle, no matter how successful, eventually comes to an end. The coaching staff, alongside the front office, is already assessing which pieces still make sense within this new context. Who fits into the renewed system? Who can adapt? Who's willing to give up the spotlight in favor of a more efficient collective setup? These questions don't come with easy answers, but they need to be asked, because Morant's arrival, for instance, wouldn't just be about adding offensive talent. It would be a complete shift in the way the team attacks. It would affect minutes, rotations, and secondary roles across the board. Abando and Sotto, despite being young and still developing, also need space to grow. There's no point in bringing in potential if it's going to be buried on the bench. It's crucial to plan their integration, their development timeline, the technical and psychological support they'll need. And that's why this restructuring isn't just an exciting idea. It has to be calculated. It has to have identity. It has to be organic. The Warriors know this. They've been through transitions before. And if they're still one of the most respected teams in the league today, it's because they've adapted without losing their essence. Here's something not many people are paying attention to: the cultural impact of this potential transformation. The Filipino community in the Bay Area is huge, passionate, present. Imagine what it would mean for them to see Kai Sotto in blue and gold. It wouldn't just be a signing. It would be a symbol, a connection, a celebration of the diversity that Golden State has always embraced. And more than that, the presence of two Filipino players on the roster playing meaningful minutes would create a unique bridge between the NBA and Southeast Asia. It would be a move with global impact, and the Warriors, who have always been ahead of the curve when it comes to marketing and branding, know exactly how valuable that could be. From a technical standpoint, Steve Kerr would have a rare gem in his hands. A flexible, youthful squad with the ability to switch from offense to defense seamlessly. He'd be able to mix lineups with complete freedom, use Morant as the primary ball handler in specific sets, deploy Abando as a defensive specialist in more physical games, use Sotto to punish overly small ball teams. The possibilities would be endless, a new range of strategies, and all of it still revolving around Curry, the quiet leader, the face of the franchise, the man who redefines limits every time he steps on the court. But for this to work, the locker room has to be in sync, and this is where one of the franchise's greatest assets comes in: its culture. The Golden State Warriors are not just a team with talented players. They are an environment built on values, on respect, on mutual trust. Players who arrive there know they can't just think about themselves. They need to fit into something bigger. They need to understand that individual shine comes as a result of collective effort. And if Morant is ready for that challenge, to dive into that environment, to evolve alongside it, to mature within that structure, he could reach the peak of his career. He could not only win, he could lead. He could leave a legacy. The opportunity is here. The window is opening, and chances like this don't come twice. Remember when few believed in Poole? When many thought Looney would never become an impact big man? When Kuminga was just another raw athlete trying to find himself? All of those names blossomed within this ecosystem because they had guidance, because they were challenged, because they found a purpose. And the most incredible thing is that the timing for this transition might be right now. The market is heating up, opportunities are emerging, behind-the-scenes talks are gaining momentum. Agents are moving, scouts are exchanging notes, and the name Golden State Warriors is once again circulating in the meetings that shape the future of the league. That doesn't happen by accident. It's a sign that something is about to unfold. And maybe, my friend, when you look back a few months from now, you'll remember exactly this feeling, that a new empire was being built quietly, but with strategy, with vision, with boldness. Because in the end, basketball is made of moments, of decisions, of courage, and the Golden State Warriors once again are about to show the world that they're not afraid to take risks. Now picture this scene. The regular season is drawing to a close, and the Warriors are no longer a question mark. They're a real threat. This team isn't just Curry's team anymore. It's the team of a new era, a blended roster where youth and experience merge in a system that's almost impossible to decode. The off-ball movement remains flawless, but now there's a new ingredient: explosiveness. And all of this translates into a renewed identity, because the arrival of Ja Morant, if it happens, isn't just about bringing in someone who averages 25 points per game. It's about reshaping the way Golden State attacks, defends, and responds. It's about laying the groundwork for what comes after Curry, not erasing his legacy, but expanding the vision beyond him. And that's essential, because the Warriors cannot rely solely on the brilliance of one star. They need continuity. They need a storyline that extends beyond today's stats. And names like Sotto and Abando are just the beginning. They are seeds of a harvest that could last for years, as long as the environment stays fertile and the culture stays strong. And if you still doubt the real impact these players could have, think about this. Basketball is changing. Borders are falling. Talent no longer comes solely from American colleges or elite European leagues. It's sprouting from every corner of the globe, and whoever recognizes that first takes the lead. The Warriors have always been pioneers, always seen around the curve. It was like that when they adopted small ball, when they bet on off-script movement, when they put the ball in Draymond's hands to start plays, when they let go of traditional centers in favor of collective intelligence. And now that same mindset could lead them into a new evolutionary leap, a combination of explosiveness, Morant, grit and versatility, Abando, intelligence and physical presence, Sotto, and of course the timeless brilliance of Stephen Curry. But every revolution comes at a cost, and perhaps the biggest one is time, because making all of this fit won't be instant. The first few weeks might be tough. Chemistry will need to be built. Mistakes will show up, but that's part of the process. It's the price of trying to do something great. And honestly, is there any better environment than the Warriors to grow under pressure without losing confidence? Steve Kerr is the kind of coach who understands the process. He knows when to correct, when to demand, when to protect. He understands the balance between patience and accountability. And with a renewed group in his hands, he can use all his experience to lead this new phase with authority and sensitivity. And we can't forget the impact all of this would have behind the scenes in the league. Because think about it. If the Warriors manage to build a functional roster with such diverse pieces, it will inspire other teams to follow the same path. It will shift the NBA's perspective on players outside the traditional pipeline. It will reinforce the idea that elite basketball isn't just physical or technical anymore. It's strategic, emotional, symbolic. Kai Sotto, for example, wouldn't just be a promising center. He'd be a cultural bridge between the Asian market and the biggest basketball league in the world. He'd be living proof that talent, when guided properly, breaks through any barrier. And Ja Morant? He'd get the chance to transform his narrative, to leave controversial episodes behind and write a new chapter, more mature, more committed, more historic. Because if there's one place where a talent can become a leader, it's there, in that winning culture. The same one that revived careers, developed young players, and preserved its identity even when everyone thought it was finished. It's not just about basketball. It's about building a legacy. And that, fan, is what brings us to this point. Because the next season won't be just another one. It could be the turning point, the page flip, the moment the Golden State Warriors show, once again, why they should never be underestimated. And if you still have doubts, let me leave you with one last image. Western Conference Finals, Game 7, last possession. The score is tied. Curry gets the ball, double-teamed. He passes to Morant. The arena holds its breath. He drives in. The defense collapses. A quick kick out to the perimeter. Sotto, wide open, sets his shot. The ball arcs. 3 points. Victory. And in that moment, it's not just about the scoreboard. It's about the symbol. About the journey that began under doubt, but ended with a standing ovation. Now answer me honestly. Are you ready to see that happen? Because if this project comes to life, the Golden State Warriors won't just be building a new team. They'll be carving out a new myth. If you've made it this far, it's because you feel something big is about to happen in San Francisco. And if this new chapter of the Warriors really takes shape, you'll be able to say you followed it from the very beginning, before it was headlines, when it was still just whispers in the shadows. So now I ask you, if this video made you think, made you imagine, made your heart race with the possibilities, show that it was worth it. Hit the like button down below. It really helps the channel keep bringing in-depth analysis and content that goes far beyond the surface. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment. Click the subscribe button, activate the bell to get all the notifications, because the next season promises fireworks, and you won't want to miss a single detail of this potential revolution in the Golden State Warriors. Thank you so much for watching, for the support, and for being part of this community that lives and breathes true basketball. See you in the next video.